Hey, welcome everybody. This is our part 2 of a double feature for Sunday night.
Yeah.
This is something we haven't done yet, but okay, it works. My name is Jay Hill. I am the
Shane.
host. I'm the host of Studio 6 Paranormal Podcast Entertainment, and we have a fantastic guest. She's been on the show before. I think we had... What was it? Taryn Kerper was our co-host because Shane was not here that day.
Yep. So I finally get to hang out with her.
Yeah. Awesome. So
All right, let's do this.
So let's get going. Let's get her on. Hello.
Hi.
Ladies and gentlemen, Karen Broussard from Gunslinger Gulch. We are pleased to have you here.
Yes.
Yes, and this is first time Shane meeting you.
Yep.
This is my second time seeing you. So
I'm glad to be back.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's a nice setting back there. This rustic,
Yeah, log cabin looking space.
Right. I love it. It looks really good. It looks really good.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm in the saloon right now.
Oh, okay. Yes,
that's cool.
The haunted saloon. So yeah, I just saw on your page that you guys got quite a bit of snow recently.
Yeah, we actually got hit really hard this week, the last couple of days.
Wow.
And
being in Montana, I can only imagine.
It's been a really long winter.
Yeah.
It's been a long winter in Michigan. It never gives up.
Right.
The snow.
Right. Yeah. So
I'm over it.
Me too.
For people who don't know who Karen is, she's the owner of Gunslinger Gulch. She is also a bed and breakfast that she has there. She's also had a show featured, or her property is featured on a show called Ghost Town Terror, which is on Travel Channel. She's had other notable images used on her property. One to speak of was the miniseries of 1923 with Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren, and used your newer post office that you had recently acquired. Tell us how you acquired that post office.
Yeah. Well, that was actually built on site here from the production company. So it's a new building that is meant to look old. But we're very fortunate that we actually got to keep the building in this whole process.
Wow. That is so awesome.
But I'll tell you, when they decorated this thing out for that scene, it was a telegram office, post office, the props that they used, they were all authentic time period, and it was some pretty crazy energy in there for being a brand new building, just because of all these items that they got in here.
Right. Yeah. When I had talked to you about a week ago about that, I had sensed some energies in there already, and it was kind of crazy, So yeah. So talk a little bit about your B&B, and tell people again, some people who are new to the Gunslinger Gulch page, and explain a little bit about how you came about the property and some of the stuff that's transpired since then.
Yeah, we're originally from Washington, just north of Seattle. And back in like 2018, I just had this realization that it was time for me to get out of Washington and move on somewhere else. And ironically, I had been looking at a lot of different, property in a lot of different areas on Craigslist. And one morning I woke up and I just kind of flipped open my laptop, and this property came up on my screen. And so I was kind of like, cool. That's a sign. So I started looking into it a little bit, and I was like, I called the owner at the time. That day, I was just like, I got to know more, and got off the phone with her, and I called up a friend of mine, and I was like, what are you doing this weekend? I'm like, you want to take a road trip? And so we up and took off to Montana, and it was, I don't know what it was. It was just definitely something that was like, you need to go, you need to be there. And so it came out, and it was a long process. The owner was in Florida, and I was in Washington, and the property in Montana. My attorney was in Montana. It was like a year-long process making this all work. It was just, It was crazy. It was the weirdest real estate transaction I've ever had. A year later, we moved out here. We moved out here in March of 19. So we've been out here now. And luckily it was, pre-pandemic, so I didn't get that, state jumper label on my head for, jumping during the pandemic out of a big city. But, it's been a very, unique adventure from the very beginning. And, I think her ad even specifically said it's a ghost town for sale, but there was no ghosts. And I was like, okay. And literally, it only took like, I think, a couple of days of us being out here before we started to experience some activity.
Sure. I'm
right. Right. So what was the thing that really drove you to, I gotta buy this. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna pull the trigger on this. I'm gonna do it. And then, what was the moment that you?
That I said, I'm doing it. It's probably the most craziest thing I've ever, for one. Everybody told me I was crazy. Everybody was saying, oh, you're not going to do that, and I did it. And, when I came out here and saw it, it was just very captivating. And I think a lot of people would have looked at this place and thought, oh my God, this is like a repeat of that movie, The Money Pit. And, rightfully so. And I don't know. I mean, there was no question in my mind. It was literally like, I'm doing this. It's the craziest midlife crisis type thing that somebody could probably do. I remember I drove home and I told the kids, I said, Anna, and they're like, what? I said, yeah, I'm kind of buying a ghost town. And they literally thought I had lost my mind.
That's awesome.
It's not, an opportunity to do something like this. It's just,
right.
Most people might dream about it or think about it, but they're not going to take action. And I just pulled the plug. I was like, I'm doing it. That's all there is to it.
Right. And then when you got into it, you realized it probably took some work, but you at no point probably ever thought that this wasn't the wrong decision. You automatically knew that this was the right decision.
Yeah, it was, I knew it was going to be a challenge. I knew it was going to be a difficult challenge. because there were, first of all, when we moved out here, it was like the worst storm that Montana had had in like 50 years. So, they were all calling it snow. And I'm thinking, God, I just left like the 100-year snowstorm back in Washington trying to get here. So we really, we were buried like 4 feet under snow, and we didn't really know what we were dealing with. I remember trying to get on Google Earth so that I could try and locate my propane tanks, because they're all buried. They're all underground. So I just have these like cylinder, lids.
Right.
And so we're on Google Earth trying to like zero in on where I thought they might be. That was just one of the struggles getting going. And, but we were out here we had power, kinda. But we were out here for at least probably a month before, we had water, heat. We were living it. We were living the time.
That's cool, though.
Right. Yeah, that is very cool.
I love rustic living stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So, you come to this town, you buy the town, and you live here, and all of a sudden you start experiencing, you're realizing that this real estate lady was nuts and saying that there's no ghosts, because you knew right away that when you started having experiences there, that there's something here. So why don't you talk a little bit about some of the first instances that you had where you had paranormal activity, where you were like, what in the world is going on?
Yeah. It literally, like I said, it took probably just like a couple of days before things started to happen around here. And I think the first thing that I experienced was one night I had one of my dogs at the time was very, very sick, and we didn't have any heat, and so I'm like, well, okay, I'm going to take him to the car, and we're going to just sleep in the car because I can keep it running and keep the heat going and whatnot. And I remember I was dozing off, and this was literally like right in front of the saloon, and I heard a tap on the window. And at first I was kind of like, I don't, and I got my head up against the window, trying to sleep. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to look. And I kind of looked around, and I didn't see anything. And I'm like, okay, I'm dreaming, whatever. So I dozed back off, and right away, tap, 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 even harder on the window.
Right.
And at this point, I'm kind of shitting pants, and I'm looking around. I'm thinking it's one of the kids. They're playing a game on me, they're scare me, whatever. And so I get out of my car, and I'm looking. And first of all, it's snowing up a storm. There's no footsteps around my car whatsoever. And I go back into the boarding house, which is where 2 of my kids were sleeping at the time. And, they're all passed out. Everybody was asleep. And at that point, I kind of was like, well, I'm up for the rest of the night. That was unnerving. That was like my welcome home, I guess, that they were initiated with. And then it wasn't but probably a few days later, in the boarding house again, my kids heard a woman come out and say hello, kind of like, who's there?
Wow.
And my son was upstairs, and he thought it was me, and so he came down, and he's like, did you say something? And I'm like, no. So he was kind of freaked out. And then like that next night, we were all in there. All of us were all crammed in there. And my dogs were like scenting off on a table that was right next to the bed. And they were almost acting as if there was like a cat, because they would go and sniff the table. They'd pull back really fast. They'd go forward and pull back, almost like they were being swatted by a cat. Then like the day after that, I was in that room and I heard like a bell, like a jingle bell. What is going on here? Because it sounded like a cat ball, those jingly cat balls.
Mm.
And I literally saw a cat jump off of the end of my bed and run to the door. And
Wow.
I don't have a cat.
All right.
Yeah, that's cool.
How old is the whole town? I mean, is it modern and made for movies, or is it really old and just been restored, or?
No, so all of these buildings so far, what we've been able to determine is most of them, I would say 90% of them, actually date back as far as like 1854. And they were all hauled out here in the 90s. So they've all been relocated out here. And, that was her goal, was to create this old Western Dune. So these buildings came from, various locations in Anaconda and Phillipsburg and kind of just the surrounding areas.
Sure.
And it's been a challenge to try and track down much information, but you get that nugget, and then you can just like spider web off of that. So we've been able to, serious rabbit hole. We've actually been able to find quite a bit of information on some of the buildings, like this one that you have up on the screen right now. This is the saloon.
I love this building.
This was actually
cool. I'd investigate that.
Yes. So the cool thing about this is the left side and the right side were two sister homes that came from Anaconda. And then that centerpiece was built out of, another old building to expand it and to create it what it is. But that building on the left, we actually met with several family members. In fact, 2 years ago, we actually had a birthday party for one of the younger family members. I think she was like 12 at the time, and she was like 9th generation coming through that house. So we've been able to find quite a bit of information that kind of helped us connect the dots as far as some of the activity that we experience in it. And that's actually where I'm sitting right now.
Okay. Well, talk a little bit about some of these other buildings that I got up on the screen, like the jail.
Yeah, the jailhouse. So when we first moved here, we were out to eat. And of course, we're in a very small town and we kind of stuck out like sore thumbs, I think. And this guy walked up to us in the restaurant, and he just knew who we were. And he actually told me that this was his family homestead. It was an old cabin that came from Phillipsburg area, which is about 30 miles west of us. He said that his father was born in this in like 1917. His grandmother grew up in this house. And I think this was one of the first buildings that was actually brought out here. And it's set up right now as the jailhouse. It's one of our more popular units by far.
Okay. So what about this house?
So this is our laundry, and this one has been a mystery. You'll see the sign that says Keys Laundry on there. And there actually was a Keys Laundry in Anaconda years ago. And I don't know if this was, we're still researching. We are still trying to find like old photos to see if maybe this might have been that building. But this is actually our laundromat.
Oh,
that's cool.
Awesome. What about this one? Is this one of your houses?
This is the boarding house. Yeah, this is the one where we experienced our first experiences out here. Oh. And this one I actually had some siblings come up here, and the first one was the son of the owners of this house, And he and his friend came up one day out of the blue, and they're like, yeah, we haven't been inside this house in like 50 years. This was actually from the same block as the saloon buildings came from.
Oh,
and
okay.
Since then, I've had his sister come up, and so they've given us some, pretty detailed information as far as, what the original layout inside used to be like, and who lived there, and given some names. And it's actually been one of our more active units lately.
Okay.
It never
What has
disappoints.
happened? What has happened? Yeah, what has happened there recently that you could talk about?
Well, this is a little bit of a different scenario because wintertime we all live up at the church, and we're not really down here in town that much.
Okay.
Building that's down here, and a few weeks back, she was experiencing a lot of what for lack of words, I would call it a spiritual warfare. He was picking up on some very protective type of somebody's.
Okay.
And she literally, so in her room, it was overwhelming, and before it got to that point, we had gone down, and that was the building that you just passed, the one right before this one. But we had gone in there, and we try not to investigate during the wintertime, just because we like to kind of let things take a break and not get too overwhelmed.
Good idea.
Mm-hmm.
And but we had gone into her room, and we were picking up on a small child. We would ask, how old are you? And it would reply back 9. And this was all via Skype. And we weren't able to get too much information. And then she had this whole thing happen. She doesn't scare easily. She was pretty scared over all this. And nothing bad happened, nothing physical happened, but it was just very, very heavy energy. And and that has subsided. Now she still is having some activity take place in there. Things coming off the wall. She does hear some disembodied voices and a lot of footsteps and things of that nature, but that bad energy feel is not there.
Sure.
Right.
So does the ground have any kind of, spiritual activity itself? I mean, before the town was there, because you said it was put in the 90s, so.
Yeah, I think that we've got a couple of different things going on here. I think that we have things that are attached to buildings, and I think we have things that are attached to the land. And I think that we have somewhat of an open doorway here, because we will have this rotation come through. We have those that have been here, and they're not going anywhere. Those are our building dwellers. We have those that are on the land that, they pop in here and there. We have one woman that walks around town, and we have a man. And then I think there are some objects that are here that have something to do with them. But we get this rotation. We will get these new visitors that come through, our travelers or our wanderers, and I think they're just passing, and they just found this crack in the system, so to say, that they can actually come through, and they kind of make themselves known, and they will sometimes hang out for a little while, but then they'll be gone.
Now, talk a little bit about you had that show Ghost Town Terror on last year, and talk a little bit about how that experience has been for you and your family.
How do I politically correct put this? It's a roller coaster.
Right.
And the reason why is because I think that every investigator has their own style and they have their own kind of niche hold in that paranormal spectrum.
I would agree.
And
Yeah,
everybody
I definitely have my own style.
to experience, everybody's going to experience something different.
Right.
And, you know, the investigators that they brought in, the lead investigator that they brought in, I think he is great at what his thing is, but he's a demon hunter. So everything to him is really leaning towards the deep, dark demon.
Right.
Everything's a demon. Everything's a demon.
Sure.
And it's like,
Right.
no, that's not, the demons are with you and they're just manifesting.
Yeah, you got it.
So,
Yeah.
you know, it caused a lot of problems for us, to be honest with you, because it's one thing to have a haunted location that people can go and enjoy. Maybe they get scared, maybe they experience something.
Right.
But it's another thing when in their mind they're going to get a demon attachment and get possessed, and the owner is going to be like crawling across the ceiling and head spinning like Linda Blair.
Right.
So it brought us a lot of people that were curious, a lot of looky-loos, and you know, we had, you know, a lot of, you know, the people that want to experience it, but yet on the flip side, it cost us quite a bit because people just could not let go of, you know, the Hollywood creation that took place. And I always tell people, you know, no, we don't have demons. We do have, on occasion, that dark, grumpy, you know, spirit that comes through.
Sure. Probably hanging.
They're everywhere.
Yeah. Right. But you can get that anywhere.
I'm surprised because I wouldn't be surprised if something were to pop up. But you know, for the most part, you know,
would be good.
I know, right? I told him before we got started, I'm like, because I had somebody that was down here, and I was like, if you want to come out, now's your time.
No kidding.
But you know, it's I always tell people, you know, if you think you saw something or you think you heard something, you probably did. But the majority of people have no idea if they saw something or heard something, because it's human nature to just like, oh, I didn't see that, or I didn't hear that.
Right,
you know?
Right. So talk about a little bit about some of the investigations that you've had and some of the teams that have been there and some of the like good evidence that you've gotten. Oh
my goodness. Yeah. So we've had several teams come through. We have had Cross Country Paranormal come out, and they did a big event here last year. Chilling Paranormal, which is a local group out of here. I have had a really cool female team that's out of Montana called Seeking Truth Paranormal. And
I've heard of them,
we've had Haunt Hunters come out. You know, and they're going to be back. Everybody's coming back. You know, that's
right.
That's what's great. You know, and each group has had, you know, a variety of experiences. We got some really cool footage. We didn't even start investigating yet, and we were just kind of giving the guys from Haunt Hunters a little tour of, you know, okay, this building, you can go in here and whatnot. And you know, we got some great footage of, you know, doors opening and closing, and
wow,
really cool, like full body investigations, and yeah, it was insane. And you know, the gals from Seeking Truth, you know, they captured a lot of evidence, a lot of really cool EVPs, and REM pod, this typical REM pod activity and whatnot. But they also had a personal breakthrough, and it was something they had never had happen when they've done investigations. And they each had a family member come through, and it's happened twice that they've been out.
Oh, wow!
But it's never happened.
Cool.
Yeah, each
That's
one of them had a
awesome.
family member that had came.
Yep. And didn't you recently have a family member come through when you were talking to me? Yeah. When I was talking to you. Yep. Your both your brothers.
Yeah.
One brother. Yeah.
I showed that to my kids. They're like, what? Yeah. So, I had, two of my brothers passed away. One of them passed away just right before we moved out here. And, then my other brother passed away, during the pandemic, just after we were out here. And, we've always felt like they've been around. My daughter actually has, a few sentimental objects from my one brother. And he, got to move, whatnot. And, but she's always picked up on him, like being a very protective, angel-like around her. And, when we were talking.
Isn't that Jim?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. And,
yep.
And you picked up on both. You're like Bob or Robert, Jim or James, and I'm like, oh my God, yes, all of the above.
Yeah.
So were you in?
Yeah. Jim is very predominant.
Yeah. So were you into the paranormal before you bought the place, or did you get into it after you already owned it and found out it was haunted?
So my family has a very lengthy history of sensitives. And so it's always been something that has been in and around my life growing up. It is never anything that I was like, ooh, I'm going to go ghost hunting or anything like that. And it actually, there was a time in my life where things were so prominent that I literally had to block myself. And I went years and years with just completely blocking everything out because it was so draining, physically and mentally and emotionally. It really will take its toll on you. And so I really had to focus on just blocking things out. And, every once in a while something would come through. And then there was I don't know what it was, a trigger point in my life, probably stress. I don't know, but my wall came down, and then a lot of things started happening. And, it was still just on a very personal level. It was not anything that I was going to go out and investigate.
Sure.
I'm not going to go investigate someone's house, anything like that.
Right.
So it's always been in our family. My mom, my grandmother, my brothers. So it's not, any shock to me that, all of my kids have very enduring as well.
Right.
So we all kind of compensate.
Now, talk a little bit. Your daughter is very sensitive as well, and she has a little bit of a friend with her, does she not?
She does, yeah, she does, and it's kind of funny because I've had a little friend for 36 years that pops in every once in a while.
Right.
They talk to him in season down here. And, he used to be around a lot, and he's not so much since I moved out here. I think he stayed with my other daughter back in Washington. Right. But yeah, now my my youngest daughter, Chloe, she has a young that appears to be rooming with her at the moment. And this is, again, when we had gone in and done some investigation in her room, we were picking up this child that was coming through. And, I don't like dealing with children, with children's spirits. Because, you just don't know if it's really a child or if it's something trying to play with you. So she has just, things happen. Something likes to really play with her hats and move little things around in her room. And she woke up with, she felt like somebody was laying in bed, kind of like leaning on her legs weeks ago. And she woke up and she had like long blonde hair on her. And so she's like tripping out. And so when I talked to her about what you were picking up one day, she was like, I knew it. So we still have not gone back in to try and identify who she is, but kind of going with.
So how's it been since it's wintertime and you're staying in the church? How has that been?
I'm going stir crazy stage. Winter has been very, very long. And, there's just nothing that we can do. I mean, there's a lot of things that we need to do and we want to do, but we just can't because it's so cold. I mean, we were hitting, negative 40s. It's just not very conducive to getting much done. We shut everything down. We don't hang out down in here. But I have a buddy that hangs out in my bedroom at the church. So he, I don't know who he is, but he pops in, quite frequently. And I think lately, I think that they're ready for us to be down and engaging with them because we have had an
all I hear is, why are they not down here? So
we'd like to give them a break. We were actually supposed to be doing a night investigation last night, and we had to actually reschedule it because Thursday and Friday, we just got slammed with snow and I can't get into half my buildings.
Right. Well, talk a little bit about, the brothel, I guess, is probably one of my favorite buildings that I've seen. And I do believe that I've dreamt about it. And there's just something about that whole building itself and the history of it, because you do know some history of that building.
I'm not alone. So the brothel is actually upstairs from where I'm at. Back when we've been able to trace it back to 1920s. The building was actually built in 1854, but I haven't been able to find information on like the original family until about the 1920s. And it was Catherine Harrington, and she was actually a midwife. She was a midwife, and she was a white witch. So she was a healer back in the day. And so it's got quite a bit of, a very unique dynamic up there. You will pick up on quite a bit. It is also, that was Catherine Harrington, grandmother of Teresa Green, which they referred to as Teresa Harrington in the show, who, was brutally murdered in Butte, and to this day is still an unsolved
Wow.
But yeah, and then to make things even more like kind of creepy cool, Bridget Sullivan, who was Lizzie Borden's nanny, was actually cousins. And so when all that went down with the whole murder case back there, she actually came out here to Anaconda to stay with her cousins.
Isn't that weird? We were just talking about that with my last guest about Lizzie Borden, and yeah.
About Bridget?
Yeah.
Oh, Lizzie.
No, just about Lizzie and that house. And we were talking about when she went to the Maycroft or that other house that she went to and this and that. But it's just now we've talked to Lizzie Borden twice now.
That's cool.
You know, that's cool.
Well, that's
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that Lizzie Borden did come to Anaconda after Bridget. So there's a very strong possibility that Lizzie Borden could have been in this house.
Oh wow.
Wow. That's
now
cool.
that would be cool.
That
would
be like I said, creepy cool.
Yeah, creepy cool. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so last time I talked to you, I think weren't you looking at another house maybe to purchase in Butte? Was it Butte, or was there someplace else that you were looking at? Did you end up buying it or no?
No, I did not. It was the commercial house here in Anaconda, and the big brick one that they showed in season 1.
Yeah.
And you know, it is a gorgeous house. I mean, I could see through the mold and the the plaster coming off the wall, and all the $1 million repairs I would have had to do. It was just a beautiful, incredible home, and I was back and forth. I was really back and forth on it. I was just like, wow, we could do this. We could make this happen. And I was going to go with the owner one day, and man, I just got that gut punch.
Oh yeah.
Don't go. Oh. And I was like, I got to listen to this, I cannot ignore this. And so I didn't. And and then literally a couple weeks went by, and I was like feeling better about it. And I was like, all right, let's go talk. Let's see what we can make happen. And I was about ready to call him, and I got a Zillow notification up on my phone that the house went pending.
Oh,
it's like, okay, it's just definitely meant to happen.
Right. So somebody did end up buying it then.
Well, whoever was going to buy it didn't end up buying it. And I think what happened is, I think it's like transferred family. I don't really know. Nothing has been done with it. It's still in a complete state of disarray. And,
that's too bad.
I drive by it every day. Yeah. But I figure, what, if it was meant to be, it would be. And if it wasn't meant to be, then so be.
Yep.
So have you any plans to add any more buildings?
Yeah, that's been our plan all along. There's a lot of old buildings out there that could be acquired. But once, we when we moved out here, when we bought this, we had no idea, and I always joke that my magic 8 ball failed me, that we were going to be going into a pandemic. And that really took a lot of us, because we hadn't even been here a year, and that pandemic hit, and it was just like, you've got to be kidding me. And, that wiped out 2 years, So when I had found a building and I was inquiring about, getting it moved out here, we started seeing, fuel costs going up and all this crazy stuff. And just the transport alone was just like, can't do it, It was just too far out of reach. Now, I'd like to get to the point, and I'm hoping the world will balance out, and yeah, maybe we'll find some old buildings that are needing to be salvaged, and we can get those out here. But
yeah, that would be cool. That would be cool.
wait.
Yeah, if you had that, add a couple more buildings, maybe like 3 of them. I think that'd be cool. But yeah, it's just that everything about the Old West has always been fascinating to me. And I love that rustic, log cabin type deal, and it's just and having spirits, to boot is awesome. I mean, in my book. But
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. But how far are you from Anaconda?
We're only about 6 miles out of town. Okay. But we're out of town, and then we're kind of back up in the mountains a little bit. And it's not that far, but where we're at, we're so like tucked in back here, and there's nobody around us. We're on 52 acres, which is helpful, and then we back up to state land. But I don't see neighbors. I don't hear neighbors.
That's awesome.
You just
live in the country, but not like that.
Back in time.
Yeah.
That's awesome. You literally feel once you come up the road and you make this one bend in the road and you see the town. It's like this dome, and you just kind of like go through this vortex, and it's like, wow, I really do feel like I have been transported back to the 1800s.
Right. So talk a little bit about your bed and breakfast. Talk a little bit about the bed and breakfast and how that's going. You know what I mean? And if you want to just, talk a little bit about some of the amenities.
Yeah, sure. It's really important. A lot of people ask, like, do you have power? do you have water? And, all of our buildings date back, quite a ways. They've all been upgraded with, full bathrooms. We have propane heat. We have electricity. We have Wi-Fi. But yet, full time, when things have been done out here, it's really just been about maintaining the integrity of that time period. Right. Everything looks rough and, very, very rustic, but yet, you do have a shower, and, we have a kitchen. And, it's not, it's really out here. It is about coming out here and disconnecting. This is your escape from that concrete jungle lifestyle. We don't have TVs in our room. Actually, I'm amazed at how many people are like upset. It's like, you don't have TVs? It's like, no. I mean, if you want to sit in your room and watch TV, go to La Quinta. It's like, this is not, you don't come here
TV anyway, so I don't care.
TV.
Yeah. Right.
To experience a whole nother lifestyle and get out and explore, and trails that right off the back of our property that people can jump on their horse and they can just go, and but yet we're close enough to town where there are a lot of amenities that people, there's a movie theater, we got a bowling alley, we got a zip line, there's a lot of things in the radius. There's so much to keep people occupied for a few days. But out here it is about relaxing and just enjoying nature, and we have some, various event weekends that we do throughout the summer. We have murder mystery weekends, which are always a blast. People get all dressed up. It's your classic whodunit.
And that in itself, with having that's like trigger objects, with the whole dressing up and being in period clothing and this and that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Have you ever had anybody Yeah, have you ever had anybody that when you've done your murder mystery experience any paranormal?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
In fact, there was one that was an old event, and we're all just getting ready to sit down for dinner, and everybody was in here. There was like 40 people, and we had a picture just fly off the wall,
Oh, really?
just randomly. Everyone's sitting down, and everybody was kind of like, "What?" It's like, "Oh, that's new."
That's crazy. That's crazy. So springtime, and you're sure you got a lot of work to do and getting things ready. How are you? Are you booked pretty good for the summer then already?
This has been kind of a slow start this year. And I think we still have some fallout, fear from the TV show, because I still get people who will make comments like, "Oh my God, that place is,
Right.
so haunted, never go there, blah, blah."
Yeah.
But I think just, we're kind
That's
of in
why
a
we go there.
weird, yeah, right. We're just in a weird time right now, with the economy and, everything that's kind of going on. I think people are just, waiting, It has been picking up as of late, but, we're usually at least 3/4 of the way booked by January. And we're not there yet.
Yeah, I think it's only a matter of time. I mean, it's gonna be probably a really good, summer, and I'm sure that, you got enough stuff to keep you busy probably for the summer, So,
Yeah.
And you also have like RV setups too.
Yeah, we do allow RV camping, tent camping. We do allow people to haul in so they can bring their horses and they can go ride. We do have 2 new electric only sites this year. Otherwise, it's all dry camping, but there are facilities available for them, so they don't have to totally rely on their. But yeah.
What's the nearest airport to you?
Butte. Butte is about a half an hour away.
That's not
It's a
bad.
smaller airport. So it doesn't have, a lot of direct flights at all. I think everything kind of routes in through Salt Lake City. But otherwise, Bozeman, which is like an hour and 45 minutes from here, that's the better bet, because you'll get a lot better rates and a lot more direct flights into there.
Right. Yeah, me and Shane got to come out there.
That'd be
You
cool.
do.
Yeah, I mean,
That's a long drive.
it's a long
Probably
drive.
20 hours. I don't know.
Right. Yeah,
From Michigan.
longer.
Yeah, but
Probably
think of
about
all
20.
you can stop and see
Yeah.
in between.
Yeah. Well, then you got to drive through boring states like Iowa and Nebraska.
Yeah, there's nothing in
No,
that.
there's
I drove through it.
I've driven through that way too many times. Yeah, but
Well, fly out, save the time. Yeah, just fly out, save the time that it takes for the commute, and that way you have more time to go investigate some of the other really cool local areas.
Sure.
right.
We're
have
half an
you
hour
guys-
away from the Dumas brothel, which is incredible.
Right. I was just gonna say, there's got to be some local places in Anaconda that have got a lot of paranormal activity.
Yeah, Anaconda still, people don't like to talk about it. Every
Okay.
once in a while, you'll get somebody who will. They don't want to acknowledge it. They don't like change. And then it's like this show kind of rocked their world a little bit with all the traffic that came into town. But I don't get out and investigate as much as I would like to. But I did go out, probably spent about a month and a half or so ago. There is a location here in town, and I won't name them because I think they wanted to keep it on the down low. But they had been experiencing some things. So I've got a couple girlfriends here in town, and then my oldest son. We're kind of our own little team, and
Awesome.
so we went down there for a few hours one night, and for my son and I, because we're out here in the mountains where there's no hominess, right? It's like just a bed away from homelessness, like half and it's cold, we don't have heat. So we walk into this place and it was like so warm, and we're just like, oh my gosh, I just want to fall asleep. It's like, I'm too relaxed. And it was kind of a weird night. It's one of those nights where, you might get like one or two little bits of evidence, and then you're just kind of like, I'm not feeling it. I don't feel anything. I actually feel very well. And just no equipment is going off. There's just nothing happening. And then you get done, and the next day you start reviewing like your voice recorders, and you're like, wait a minute, back up. What?
Yeah.
Then you start finding out like, wow, it was a lot more active than we actually thought it was. But, to us at the moment, we weren't hearing anything. We weren't seeing anything. We weren't experiencing anything, but we got a lot of really cool, intelligent responses on the voice recorders.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. What would be probably one of the coolest or the clearest which building were you in when you got your probably the most clearest EVP?
Gosh, I get them all the time, but I would say probably one of the most clearest one. And I wasn't even there. I had some friends that were staying in my cordwood unit, and this is a unit that I have experienced a few things in. My son has experienced a few things, but overall, we always considered it kind of like our safe unit. It was very not a lot happened in there. But yet, I always felt like that was where the portal was, if anything, because it just felt like a pass through. Nothing stayed, lingered. It just kind of came and went. But I had some friends that were staying in there one night, and they left their voice recorder on overnight. And the next morning, when they were listening, they got the most incredible recording you could ever ask for. It was clear as day. You could actually hear, it was a very, very distinct sound with that door opening. It's very, very creaky. You can hear the latch, you can hear the door open, and you can hear a man walk in, and he's like, God, what did he say? Something like, the craftsmanship or the craft work in here is incredible. And it was, it was a very, very old, it sounded like, how they spoke in like the black and white movies from like the 40s. It had that very distinct.
Yeah, sure. Like upstanding.
So that was pretty cool.
That is cool.
Yeah. That is awesome. Yeah, it's definitely one of those.
But you will.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll get EVPs.
We really want to get there and hang out.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, but
yeah, absolutely. You've got.
Okay. So why don't you? I'm going to let you, promote a little bit about your B&B, and just let everybody know where they can find you on Gunslinger's Gulch page and all that, and then we'll kind of close shop here.
Yeah, I mean, we are on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Just look up at Gunslinger Gulch. The website is gunslingergulch.com. And, I'm kind of old school. I haven't got up to speed with the whole online reservation, nightmare. but people can send a message. We can check availability. It's got our prices. It's got pictures of the rooms on there. And we still have availability for some of our murder mysteries that are coming up this summer. There's still space available for some of those.
Wow.
And yeah.
Okay. Fantastic. Well, I
Yes.
want to thank everybody for tuning in to this. We've had quite a few viewers, and I want to thank Karen. You've been wonderful guest. Thank you
Yeah,
so
it was
much.
awesome.
Well, thank you for having me back.
Yeah, it's been fun. And we'll have to do this again because this is just too
This
much
is great
fun.
times.
So, check out this episode will be on YouTube. It'll also be on all my Facebook and Instagram or Facebook, and also all the audio files will be uploaded this evening to Good Pods, the app for Good Pods, as well as iHeartRadio, Apple, all wherever you can get your podcasts from. So, excuse me. So, on behalf of myself and everybody, I want to thank you and my guest, and I will see you probably next Monday. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Great. Thank you.